All right. Well, I want to thank everyone who's come out, and I think now is a good time to get started. So we'll go ahead and get started. Well, hello everyone. I'm really excited about this educational opportunity. I want to thank you all for attending in person as well as virtually. I think that I personally, and I'm sure everyone else, would also like to thank our presenters for taking the time to come and provide their expertise and their knowledge about something that I think is really important. I want to make sure that this event can be as helpful as possible, so I'm going to start out with a statement about the expectations for this afternoon. And so as Baylor faculty, as residents, as students, trainees, we understand the expectations for our behaviors as it relates to civility and respectful conversations. This is a wonderful chance for us to learn, but that has to be built on an understanding of civility and respect for different faith traditions. And so I assume that goes without saying, but I'm going to say it to make sure we're all on the same page. I also want to make sure that we understand that this is not a theological debate, but instead an opportunity to learn about various faith traditions that we may see in patients here in Houston. It's a wonderfully diverse city, and so this gives us an opportunity to learn, but we're not debating any theological aspect. We're really using this as an opportunity to learn. So those questions won't really be, I think, appropriate in the setting, and certainly any political discussion will not be. That's kind of not the purpose of this and not the goal. It goes without saying, but I'm going to make sure I say it. No forms of discrimination will be tolerated in this circumstance at all. It's abhorrent, and kind of that will not be tolerated. If you're in the chat, you'll be asked to leave. If you're here, you'll also be asked to leave. So I don't anticipate that, but I want to make sure that's clear so that we can make sure this is helpful and psychologically safe for everyone. So having said that, I really am excited about a broad discussion of various faith traditions and how we can think about that as clinicians, as researchers, when we're interacting with our patients here in the greater Houston area. So I'm going to start with introductions. So our Buddhism content expert is Dr. Thek Hong Dak, and I apologize if I have butchered your name. He is in the chat in Zoom, and so please correct me if I'm wrong. He obtained his BS in electrical engineering and his master's in religious studies from the University of the West. He also obtained his PhD in religious studies from the University of the West. He has multiple publications and is an adjunct professor at the University of Houston. His research interests are Buddhist studies, Mahatma Buddhist studies, early Buddhist studies, Zen Buddhism, Buddhist mindfulness, practice, and Asian religions. And so I'm going to go through the introductions for everyone, and then we'll get started on the presentation. So for our presenters who are here, as I present you, I would love for you to be able to come up to the podium so that the people in Zoom can see you. So our Catholicism expert is Dr. Raja Manhani. He is a neurologist and movement disorder specialist at the University of Texas Houston McGovern School of Medicine. He is an assistant movement disorder fellowship director, the co-director of the Deep Brain Stimulation and Advanced Therapies program, and director of the Movement Disorder Curriculum. He has received multiple educational and clinical awards and authored more than 90 publications, and was invited to talk nationally and internationally. He has been interested in theology for 25 years, and I personally have had the pleasure of knowing him for over 7 years. He speaks French, Arabic, and conversational Spanish. Our Buddhism content expert is Dr. Savara Bakaribara. Our Hinduism. Thank you. And so the other aspect that I would like to encourage through my own example is giving each other grace when it's appropriate. She is a historian and educator. As a historian, she studies Indian religion, focusing on esoteric rituals, gender, bodies, particularly in Hindu Sakta Tantra traditions, the goddess Tantra. As an educator, she is an instructional associate professor at the University of Houston and also a research associate at the Center of the Study of World Religions Fellow at Harvard University. In the past, she has taught at Harvard University, the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, University of Montana, and Rice University. She's co-edited multiple volumes, Living Folk Religions and Religious Responses to the Pandemic and Crisis, Isolation, Survival, and COVID Chaoses. She's co-written a book, The Serpent's Tale, Kundalini and History of an Experience, and the third co-edited volume embodied pedagogy and religion, transforming the classroom under contract. Finally, she has worked on multiple divinized divas, superwomen, wives, heroes in Hindu Sakra Tantra. Details of her other published work can be found on her website, savadaspeaks.com. She has an interest in building communities with individuals of various faith backgrounds who believe in kindness, compassion, and fulfillment. She is a board of trustee member of the Islam Institute and serves as an advisory board member of Compassionate Houston. Our Islam content expert is Imam Ansel Haq. He was born in New York and raised in Houston. He memorized the Quran at the age of 10, after which he led Taraweeh, nightly Ramadan prayers for 21 years, and taught Quran at various mosques around Houston. He has a bachelor's degree in Management Information Systems from the University of Houston. After completing Arabic language program at the Islamic University of Medina in Saudi Arabia, he has also completed a bachelor's in Islamic law and jurisprudence from the Islamic University. He is also a certified chaplain through the Prophet's Mosque in Medina, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and has multiple teaching qualifications in various sacred sciences. After teaching in Malaysia and Houston, he and his wife started their own business, MyKidsHQ.com, providing quality Islamic educational resources like books, toys, and podcasts for children, as well as one for parents. He currently serves as the Imam at the Al Barik Islamic Center in Houston, Texas. Our Judaism content expert is Miss Gettel Francis. She'll be joining us virtually, and she is a licensed Master of Clinical Social Work and is a Behavioral Mental Health Service Community Intervention Specialist under Clinical Board Approved Supervision at the Jewish Family Service. In her role, she hosts lectures and trainings on a range of topics to increase mental health literacy and decrease stigma. She manages Jewish Family Services Mental Health First Aid and holds the title of National Instructor in Adult and Youth Mental Health First Aid. I've also had the pleasure of working with her at a function similar to this, and she is very knowledgeable and compassionate. Our Protestant content expert is Dr. Virgil Fry. Dr. Fry is a former executive director of Lifetime Chaplaincy, a hospital-based ministry of chaplains and volunteers. He now is the director of the Interfaith Spiritual Care Coalition for the Institute of Spirituality and Health at Texas Medical Center. This program provides trained spiritual care volunteers at assisted living facilities and nursing homes in the Houston area. He has 2 adult children and 5 grandchildren. So I hope you'll join me in giving a round of applause to our presenters who are here today. So we're going to start the presentation with, yes, sorry, so please. Oh yeah, please. So I think everyone has seen you, so yeah, kind of feel free to. No. If we can unmute one of the participants, Dr. Takhagak, he will be presenting now. So I apologize, secondary to some technical issues, we won't be able to share your screen on the Zoom.
That's okay. Yeah, if that's a problem, I will try my best to present myself. All right, so thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. John, and thanks for all the to invite me to join this special event and conference that share our Buddhist philosophy and practice So basically, Buddhism is one of the major world religions. So we have approximately 6% of people that follow Buddhism in the world, and we have three main branches: Mahayana, Theravada, and Vajrayana. So mainly our Buddhist people focus in the Asian Pacific area. We have around 500 million over there, and in North America we have around 4 millions. We don't follow any kind of hierarchies, but we have what we call the Chipachus in Buddhism. So whoever want to be a Buddhist, they follow Buddha, that's mean the enlightened one. Dharma, that's mean the teaching, and the Sangha, that's mean the Buddhist communities, including the monastics and lay people. So Buddhism starts with the Buddha. He was a prince in northern part of India, now belong to Nepal, in the 5th century BC. So he let go of everything to become a monk for 6 years, and later on he attained what we call enlightenment, and from that time on people call him as Buddha. So he taught for another 45 years before he passed away, or we call enter nirvana. And after he passed away, the Buddhist community spread out everywhere, especially in India, the Far East, and even Eastern Europe. Right now Buddhism spread to the West, and it's my honor to teach Buddhism as well as Buddhist meditation at University of Houston. So the basic Buddhist tenets are what we call the Four Noble Truths. The first one is all life is suffering, like our body and our mind. Our body have illness, aging, and death, and our mind has the problem of anxiety, depression, stress, and so forth. So that's the first one. That the truth is been true in the past, is true now, and will be true in the future. And the number two is the cause suffering in Buddhist view. The craving and the anger are the cause or the root of sufferings. And number three, whether suffering or not, we can change. We can change the suffering into happiness if we know how. And the last one is the way how to solve or how to transform those kind of suffering through the Eightfold Paths, including the right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right concentration, and right mindfulness. So these are the basic ways how we deal with our mentality, especially the mindfulness nowadays so popular and prevalent that everyone can utilize, whether they are Buddhist or non-Buddhist, to transform the stress, anxiety, and so forth, especially in the medical environment. And in Buddhist view, we view that life is a cycle. This is a cycle of the birth, especially in the East, Hinduism, Taoism, and so forth. But in Buddhism, we recognize we believe that after we're done of our life is not the end. We may go up to the heaven, or we may go back as human, or may go down to animal realms. You may go to some kind of demon god, may go down to the realm of craving ghost, or even we may go down to the hell, as believed by other traditions. So basically, we have all kind of principle for us to live. For the Buddhist people, for lay Buddhists, they have to follow the 5 basic precepts: no killing, no stealing, no such misconduct, no lying, and no taking intoxicant, including alcohol or illegal drugs. And we focus on generosity, loving kindness, compassion, wisdom, so that we can transform greed with generosity, we transform hatred with love, we transform delusion with wisdom, so that we can live on this earth peacefully and happily. And I think I don't want to occupy the audience times. I just want to go over briefly, and later on during our conversation I can share more, especially the Buddhist view about the healthcare and so forth. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your listening.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful and very educational. I guess I would like to ask very briefly before we go to the next presenter, are there practices that you would recommend a clinician think about if they have a patient who practices Buddhism as it relates to spiritual services in a hospital or ways that they can be supportive?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your question. Definitely, for the Buddhists, let's say if they are patient, most of the time they like to have a peaceful environment, a peaceful room, instead of turn on television, watching movie, because when their body injury or hurt or painful, they need to calm down their mind, so that the physical pain can be minimized. That's one of the things that Buddhist people like to have. And also, I think that some of them, they are pure veterans. That means they don't consume much meat. And if the hospital are aware of that, be mindful of that, I think they will be more appreciate that. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. No, that's very helpful when we're thinking about ways that we can set up the environment in the hospital or kind of clinically that may be more as conducive as possible. So thank you.
Thank you.